Hello YouTube, my name is rhianaB and welcome back to another episode of my Survivor review. So starting off with Aftermath from last week's episode, Bradley has gotten himself a wake-up call, and I don't know what this means. I mean, it's gonna give him more motivation, obviously, but he also made like a couple little sly comments throughout the episode, but mostly still in the beginning of the episode. And he still holds on to that cockiness, and I'm just like, I don't know if it's like brought him down enough for him to be humble about his situation, because he still has that in him, which leads me to think that he is just kind of a little bit of an arrogant person. That's just who he is. That's me looking on the outside though, so there's that. And then we see that now there's a giant target, like most of us probably suspected, that Michael has a big target on his back now after last tribal, where he really sold on the immunity idol, trying to save his alliance, that kind of a thing. So Michael's really got to play his cards right, or else his game is going to be gone just like that. We move on to the reward challenge, and navidi wins reward, and their reward is coffee and donuts, or pastries, but you know what I mean. And yet again, they decide to draw rocks to figure out who will go to Ghost Island, and it ends up being Stephanie. And then she gets there, and she will not play the game of chance yet again. I'm a little confused as to, like, literally there have been only, 2 games of chance, and we're in episode 4, so there's been 5 trips to Ghost Island, and still we only have had 2, actual games of chance. I'm kind of wondering if it's the producers who are trying to, like, not bring too many advantages or immunities into the game, so it's not too oversaturated. But at the same time, it's like, why are they out on Ghost Island? Is it just, like, a special name for an exile? It's like, I want to see more games of chance. And while on Ghost Island, Stephanie talks about her inner strength and all the things she's been through. She left the Mormon religion, she got divorced, she's raising her kids by herself, and I thought it was really empowering to see her talk about her inner strength, because it does fit into your everyday life, but it also fits into the game of Survivor. You have to trust your inner gut, trust yourself to make the right decisions, or to at least fix the problems or whatever if you do make a mistake. Back on the navidi camp, we had Donathan, who was feeling a little emotional after they won the reward, and he was just really missing home because of the memories that associate with the reward, talking about his grandmother and how he's been taking care of his grandmother, excuse me. And with this happening, convenient timing for Chris to jump in and be like, I want to talk to Donathan, because I haven't talked to Donathan enough compared to the other former Malolo tribe members. So he also talks about his mother and that kind of a thing and all the struggles he's been through. And there is a connection between the two of them. If that means there's going to be some sort of a new alliance forming between the two, I'm not too sure about that. That's something that will be determined in the future. But there is a bond, and I feel like Donathan is now more open to the idea of working with Chris compared to last episode where he and Laurel didn't want to work with Chris. So that's something to look at in the near future. And then already we're at the immunity challenge, and it was kind of back and forth, but yet again, Malolo loses and navidi wins immunity yet again, and this is not good for navidi. And as they go into tribal council, our chopping block, basically all of the former Malolo tribe members on the chopping block. So that includes Michael, that includes Stephanie, that includes Jenna. And what I did find interesting was that so quickly, Michael was willing to backstab Steph or Jenna to save himself, which, me looking at it, if he does make it to the final, if he had actually gone through with it, or at least it would have been more apparent that he had, I feel like that would have really reflected badly on him had he made it to the end, because that'll always loom like, you are willing to backstab your own alliance that quickly just to save your own ass. So my first thought was, like, he was so quick to flip on Jenna and Steph that, it could look bad on him in the future, but yet again, as I'll explain later, it wasn't apparent that he really backstabbed, so I feel like he's kind of avoided that bullet there. And then, from what we saw in the previews last week, we saw Jenna and Sebastian doing a little flirting and all that kind of a thing. And I think actually that does end up working in Jenna's favor, because she's kind of taken off the chopping block. Because in the beginning, they were targeting Jenna because they just wanted to split up the connection between Stephanie and Jenna. But I think because Sebastian likes her so much and everyone else seemed to be on the same level as she's not the biggest threat compared to Stephanie and Michael. So that would be kind of like an easy vote. But then it goes to Stephanie, and she is a threat because she is a strategic player, and she did go to Ghost Island, so they're kind of like a little unaware that if she has any advantage or immunity, whatever. So that's on their mind. But then they flip yet again, and they want to get Michael out again. It's just like, I feel like this 5, it's just kind of all over the place. They know they want to get rid of the old Malolo tribe, but they just don't know where to start. It's just back and forth, back and forth. And I agree that there are good reasons to get rid of any of them if you're in that alliance, but you need to find a good consensus of where to, vote someone off. So it did get a little confusing there for me. We also had a little moment of Michael becoming emotional, saying that he's been wanting to be on the show for a long time. And being that he's so young, I think this means a lot more to him because, it's such like a childhood dream kind of a thing for you to be on a show that you've watched ever since you were younger. So I understand his frustration with his game not going the way he wanted to. But you gotta be able to roll with the punches, so to speak. One thing that I never really saw in this episode, and there's gotta be footage somewhere, but I was shocked that they didn't really show Jenna, Seth, or Michael really talking together. Like, I never saw the three of them get together and talk over what possibly they could do if they wanted to bring in Sebastian over, because I think he is the most lenient person out of the 5 in the Navidi Alliance. So they could have, talked to Sebastian, especially with Jenna, and, try to bring him over and say, look, these guys, they're not going to really save you. They're going to get rid of you the minute you start winning immunity challenges once the merge happens. That's something I would have done. I would have tried to get him over. I was just surprised that they felt so defeated in a sense that they just tried to plead their case as to why they should stay. I think the only person who tried to do anything really was Jenna trying to flirt with Sebastian because she could use that in the future, not just a temporary keep me here, keep me for a few more days, da-da-da-da. So I did find that interesting. I wish they had talked or at least had some sort of a conversation. But we go to Tribal Council, and Michael ends up trying to save himself yet again by saying, you know what, you need me in challenges. I can be very useful to you in that respect. So I say keep me. Again, very, very fast, but it's Tribal Council, so I kind of semi-understand him bringing it up there, but it's just happening very fast for Michael. And then Jeff brings up the comment of, why did you come on to Survivor, talking to Seth, Jenna, and Michael, and they all were pretty emotional, being that all of them have certain connections with the show and connections with what this show can bring to you in your personal life. So I did find that interesting of their answers, and of course, obviously good timing because it's going to be one of the 3 of them going home. So I felt like that was semi-good timing, but also just, I don't know, part of me just feels like it was just too much of a give up. And I don't want to say give up because that is a bad way to say it, but it just felt like there was no effort to try to do something, and that did bother me a little bit. So we get to the vote, and out of the 3 former Malolo, it ends up being Stephanie. Stephanie becomes the 5th person voted out of Survivor Ghost Island. I am sad to see Stephanie go. I really did think if she had stayed, she really would have played a lot stronger and harder of a game, but I'm actually, coming into the season, I didn't know what to think of her. I thought she was going to be the crazy, wild personality, but she really was a smart, strategic player, and that really surprised me in the first few episodes, so that's one of the reasons why I'm very, very sad that she is gone. So we'll definitely be missing a really good gameplay from Steph. But moving on to next week, we have another thing between Dom and Chris, alpha male thing again. Wendell himself saying that, they're pretty much about to kill each other. That's how intense this is probably going to get. Then we have the underdogs, which are Michael and Jenna, since it's the 2 of them versus the 5 Navidi. But everything's going to get changed because yet again, we're having a twist. And as far as I'm aware of, because it's still too early for a merge unless they're going to go really all out there and have a giant merge, which I highly doubt they're going to do. We're going to have another tribe swap. And what that means, we're going to have to wait It could be possibly they may split them up into 3 tribes. That has been done before, or they're just going to switch up, Navidi and Malolo again. But either way, whatever this is, it's really going to change the game for a couple people. For Jenna and Michael, this could be a whole new opportunity they can probably get with their former tribe mates. For Navidi, they still have the numbers, so that'll be interesting. Or maybe even if the wrong people get together, say, for example, yet again, if Dom and Chris end up on the same tribe again, that could change things up as well. So there's a lot of things that could happen from this tribe swap, given the situation of a lot of players. So I'm a little intrigued to see on what is going to happen. And usually when there is a tribe swap happening, I'm not going to really do predictions because we don't know who's on the tribes yet. So the dynamic of who can go home is a little obscured at this point. I still think that if we're just looking at it right now, Michael and Jenna need to do a lot of work to get to a good place in the game again. They need to find a good alliance, probably get with old Malolo, or maybe even get with some Navidi that they haven't lived with for a while, or haven't lived with, I should say, and get that to work in their favor. This could also lead into whether it's going to be Dom or Chris who will be on top of the whole alpha male scale. I think they need a lot to work with. Bradley, I feel like if this gets mixed up, he's probably going to come off as being very arrogant and cocky, and that can work against him. I don't know. There's just so many ways this can go because we don't know who's on tribes yet. So we'll have to wait until next week to see who will be on the new tribes. And that is actually all I have for this week's episode. If you guys like it, please give it a thumbs up. Leave me comments down below. What did you think of this week's episode? And if you want to see my future videos or videos I've already done, go ahead, hit subscribe, and hit the little bell icon so you can be notified when my videos come out. That's all I have for you guys today, and until the next video, bye! Mwah.